Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You're watching The Big Picture with me, Frank Rausen Pereira. Even as 4 persons were killed today in violent protests against a Supreme Court ruling on atrocities against Dalits, the Chief Justice of India declined to hear an argument plea on the ruling to do with the SC/ST Prevention of Atrocities Act. The centre today filed a plea in the top court seeking the restoration of the earlier status by which any offence under the SC/ST Act was made a cognizable, non-bailable offence. Last month, the Supreme Court barred automatic arrests on complaints filed under the SC/ST Act. It also said the preliminary inquiry must be conducted by police within 7 days of an alleged incident before taking any action. The centre, Dalit activists as well as several opposition parties came out against the Supreme Court's ruling, which they said dilutes the SC/ST Act and might lead to an increase in violence against Dalits. On this edition of The Big Picture, we will discuss what's next for the SC/ST Act. Joining me on the program today are S.S. Jodhka, Professor of Sociology, JNU, Udit Raj, MP of the Lok Sabha, BJP, and Professor Rajkumar Falvaria, Dalit activist. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on this edition of The Big Picture. Professor Falvaria, I'd like to start with you, of course, first. 4 people have been killed due to violence. The Bharat Bandh called as a result of what happened in the Supreme Court in March, yet the Supreme Court has decided not to hear an urgent plea in the matter. What are your thoughts?
Definitely, this is a very shameful issue. 4 persons were killed in this moment. Actually, this movement lead without any social leaders. The lack of the social leaders due to these reasons. This is the mass movement. This is the we can say this is a catalyst groups. तो आई थिंक दिस सिचुएशंस डेफिनेटली मुझे लगता है कि इसमें सिचुएशन को आप कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते हैं
जी, let me bring in Mr. Udit Raj now. Why did the government, Mr. Raj, feel the need to file for a review petition?
We demanded ever since the judgment came out that government must go for a review petition. And we met also on 28th of March to Prime Minister, and we urged that review petition must be filed. And why Dalits are agitating, there are a number of reasons, not only this judgment, but one judgment is one of the reasons that they are agitated. Otherwise, it is unimaginable, unprecedented that Dalits could have even given a call, a bunch all over the country. Even BSP could not do, I could not do. That means there are reasons behind which are to be addressed. Their concerns are there. Automatically, it's a very sporadic and it's a very, very spontaneous and very, very surprising. Unfortunately, untoward incidents are also happening. I appeal to them that they should observe, do it peacefully, and they should not resort to any violence, and there is no scope and no room for violence in democracy. Let me tell you what judgment says is that this is, despite the fact that this is a special act, Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989, and there is a FIR, and once FIR is registered, then arrest is imminent. So I look at the judgment in 2 ways. There are 2 parts of the judgment. One is that state-wise FIR cannot be lodged because unless DSP level officer is satisfied or he recommends for filing of FIR. Even in normal laws, it's a special act. In normal acts, FIR is lodged directly. But in this, what happened is this part has been diluted to a great extent. The other part is that arrest. So if it is the matter of the employee, then appointing authority has to give in the writing, quoting the reason or mentioning the reason that why arrest is required. What happened that appointing authority may not give, may belong to same caste, may have a good repo, or may be bribed, or political pressure may be brought. In this situation, I don't find that it will be easy easy to obtain the recommendation from appointing authority for arrest. And in case of public, SSP has to give permission. Why SSP will give the permission? That too he has to record the reason for that why the arrest is imminent.
Sure.
So right from the filing of FIR till arrest, it has been diluted. The act has been diluted to the extent that now there will not be any deterrent effect of this act. And second thing is that the recent judgment before that the Supreme Court gave the judgment regarding this filling of the posts in the universities and colleges.
Mr.
What
Raj,
Supreme Court says
another
is
aspect that I wanted to speak to you about.
Instead of,
Another aspect that I wanted to speak to you about is why have you filed for a review petition? Is it because of political pressure or is it because of the spontaneous kind of mass movement that you've seen from the Dalits across the country?
Anybody has to acknowledge that it is a spontaneous, somehow it's unimaginable, but as far as the filing review petition is concerned, government was already considering when we met under the leadership of Paswan with the Prime Minister. That day, of course, we took up this issue, and Prime Minister also said that judgment is being examined, and pros and cons have to be taken into account. We will definitely go for, and resultantly, we are in Supreme Court today. So I don't think there was any dilly-dallying on the part of the government.
No dilly-dallying on the part of the government is what you're suggesting. I'm going to take the discussion forward now with the other guest as well, because he's not had a say on the program as yet. Professor Jyotka, the previous two speakers have called it a spontaneous movement, a movement that has seen no political figures come to the fore. What is agitating the Dalit minds today, really?
Many things, obviously. See, an impression has been created over the past few decades that somehow Dalits are pampered community. Reservations, for example, are constantly under attack, and as Mr. Udit Raj was also mentioning, a few days back we have had some kind of dilution of reservations in the university system, and now this comes. And this is not something which was part of the constitution originally, and this is not functioning. And Dalit politics sees it as their achievement, and over the years they have been able to, in some sense, get it sharper so that Dalit atrocities don't happen. Historically, Dalit atrocities have increased as the traditional system weakened, Dalit assertion increased, but this is very, very marginal to the actual reality of Dalit condition. The fact that they have responded so spontaneously, as both the earlier speakers are saying, shows their feeling of insecurity at some level. They feel that if this also we lose, then we really don't have much to hold on to. Even though the old kind of structures of caste hierarchy have weakened significantly, but Dalit position has not improved much in terms of economic rights, in terms of resources, or even influence. At the local level, politically, they have become much more mobilized. And that's very evident from this. So it's a very strong political mobilized section. So government has no choice but to take side of what the mood is. But at the same time, substantively, inequalities persist, and they are very, very, in some sense, real. So they realize that once we let this go, then next stage would be where we will perhaps lose.
How do we deal with this? How do we deal with these inequalities?
We deal with these inequalities by engaging with them, by confronting them, by looking at the way inequalities, economic inequalities are rising, and we are not worried about that. I mean, recently there was a report from Oxfam which very clearly showed that economic disparities had increased significantly, and all the data shows that the new inequalities somehow overlap with the pre-existing hierarchies that we have had in our system. Dalits and tribals, they are among the most vulnerable sections. Even when there is mobility and they come to cities, they come to city from agriculture labor to scavenging jobs or other kind of informal sector, very precarious kind of employment. And that precarious employment then gets associated with some kind of caste prejudice, which continues to be very strong in urban areas. It's not like
but you also have the creamy layer.
Well, if you don't have creamy layer, you won't have any voice of Dalits. The creamy layer has been an achievement of the Indian, in a sense, democratic system. And if we don't have leadership, then nobody will speak for Dalits,
sure.
Right? I think that creamy layer is actually a very, very positive thing. Reservations have done a great good to Indian democracy and Indian nation state. If we did not have reservation, we did not have a Dalit middle class which was speaking on behalf of Dalits, situation would be much, much worse. Now
Okay.
they have stakes in the system and they are saying that we want to save constitution. It's Constitution Bachao Andolan. It's not like anti-national Andolan of some kind of marginal group. They are very central to Indian democracy. The large number of Indian population. Absolute number is very large. In states like Punjab, they are 32% of the total population.
Sure.
So what are we talking about? We are talking about a significant proportion of the Indian population. And if you add scheduled tribes, they make for another 8%, total population like 1/4 of the... And this also reflects attack on India's democratic ethos, where we have been working with this notion of take everyone along and everyone should have rights, and those who are on the margins of Indian society, they should always have a little bit more access to the system, because system generally is not accessible to them.
Okay,
if
the
we have to go
marginalized
to-
should be supported in a little better way, or a little more than what
Not
the
just
others
that.
are, is
I
what
mean,
you're
we
suggesting.
have to constantly engage with these realities.
Sure.
Have the atrocities gone away? Is the equality emerged at political level? Is citizenship institutionalized? If that happens, obviously, then we won't need these atrocities.
Professor
Acts.
Palwaria, what are the demands of the Dalit community?
इन द कंसर्न ऑफ एसिस्ट एट्रोसिटी जो अभी सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जो जजमेंट आया है, उस जजमेंट से जो आप ये मान के चलें कि जो इस जजमेंट के कारण जो होप था दलित कम्युनिटीज़ के अंदर कि कहीं एट्रोसिटी होगा पूरे देश भर में, तो उनका से एक ऐसा सिस्टम था जहां जाकर उसको चेक कर सकते हैं. इन द लास्ट आई थिंक SC/ST एट्रोसिटी अमेंडमेंट बिल एक्ट पास इन द मोदी गवर्नमेंट इन
2015.
2015. इन दैट एक्ट में उसका दायरा बढ़ा दिया. घोड़ी पे चढ़ने पर रोक देते थे, बारात नहीं निकलने देते, ऐसे बहुत सारे इवेंट्स थे जिनको जोड़ा गया. तो उन्हें लगा कि हमको और इंपावरमेंट मिली है. लेकिन आफ्टर दिस एक्ट सुप्रीम कोर्ट जजमेंट, मुझे लगता है कि उनको सारा छीन लिया. इसके चलते मुझे लगता है कि नो डाउट जुडिशरी ने जो डिसीजन दिया है, उस डिसीजन से इस मार्जिनाइज्ड ग्रुप को बहुत सेटबैक लगा है. और ये मूवमेंट्स में नो डाउट किसी पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज ने इसको लीड नहीं किया है. पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज का कंसर्न, जो ऑल पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज के लीडर जाके पीएम से मिले भी और इस बात का कंसर्न भी किया, लेकिन इसके बावजूद भी थ्रू सोशल मीडिया, थ्रू सोशल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और विदाउट एनी पॉलिटिकल लीडरशिप इस पूरे मूवमेंट को उन्होंने फ्रेम किया. और मुझे लगता है कि इस आंदोलन के चलते हुए, लेकिन ठीक है, इस आंदोलन में कुछ घटनाएं हुई है, हिंसा की घटनाएं हुई जो नहीं होनी चाहिए थी, क्योंकि उसके अंदर लीडरशिप नहीं है. कुछ हो सकता है कि गलत लोग भी उसमें इन्वॉल्व होंगे, लेकिन उसके बावजूद मुझे लगता है सरकार, गवर्नमेंट इस बारे में सोचने की दिशा में चल रही है कि इसमें कहीं ना कहीं सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जजमेंट को रिव्यू पिटीशन के माध्यम से सुधार किया जाए.
Sure. You know, Mr. Udit Raj, why did the Supreme Court introduce safeguards in the first place as far as the SC/ST Act is concerned?
Supreme Court, many judges in the Supreme Court or higher judiciary are biased towards SC/ST and their rights. And Supreme Court gave the reason that this act is misused. Let me tell you, in some of the cases, there is no doubt, we cannot rule out that the act is misused. In that way, all laws, like a Dowry Act, up to 80%, 90% cases were false and frivolous. And 376, that is massively misused. Then the Supreme Court has not taken this view in those cases. Why only in case of SC and ST? So why today, if the masses are enraged, the Dalits have come on the street, one of the reasons is that they are hurt by Supreme Court. They are very much engaged with the Supreme Court. And Supreme Court has been doing it for last 2-3 decades. So I think this anger is not only against the government, but more against the judiciary. So the reason which they are giving that it is misused, it can be looked at otherwise also, that if the conviction is less, then that means from filing of FIR till adjudication, there are loose ends, and FIR is not properly filed, then argument is not done properly, then facts are not properly placed, judges, and of course a charge sheet is not properly made. So these could be the reason that conviction rate is less. So instead of taking this view, and court says that since conviction is less and most of the cases are dropped and finally they do not succeed, therefore there is misuse. But I'll tell you, there other laws are also misused, but why the judiciary has not taken that view in
Sure.
other laws?
Point
That's,
taken.
that's
I'm going to
very,
take the
very
point that you're
important
making
in this.
forward with Professor Jyotka now. You know, Professor, misuse of the act is something that the Supreme Court has spoken about, something that Mr. Raj is talking about as well. How widespread is the problem really?
I'm not the right person to answer this question. I don't really deal with legal issues. But I don't think misuses should be treated like this. I mean, there would be perhaps some odd cases, but that itself shows that our society has a level of mistrust and lack of cohesion. Why would people go and complain against somebody when nothing has happened? That itself shows that we have not been able to build a society of citizens where people trust each other, they kind of respect each other's rights. I think that's where we need to look at, rather than kind of taking away rights of some communities and creating those divisions deeper, making those divisions deeper. What we need to do is to fill those divisions where people can look for each other. I mean, we don't normally file cases against another person. So there means there is a conflict in society. There means there's a kind of stress and lack of trust in society. So that should also raise other questions, positive questions. And I think judiciary has a role to play.
What role do you see the judiciary playing, and how do you think that this issue should be addressed going forward?
Now, obviously, we have to kind of build trust in society. In order to do that, we can incentivize how do people live together. We are completely segregated society. Even rural areas, traditionally Dalits used to live away from the village. But in urban areas also the same kind of reality exists. If you are a Dalit and you are middle class, you want to rent a house in a middle class locality, in some areas there is prejudice. I mean, they would not be given a house simply because they have a picture of Ambedkar in their house, and this is something on which I have done research. So there is a strong prejudice that exists. That prejudice creates mistrust, hostility against each other. So if we have to live as a complex society, we are a kind of diverse and complex society where the people who are coming and becoming upwardly mobile. So we have to give them this feeling that you also belong to this country called India, or this community called Delhi, or wherever we are living, or the local level, neighborhoods. So those kinds of values are not being inculcated in our society. On the contrary, what we have is a kind of increasing hostility for each other. For example, this whole idea about creamy layer, that these people have become all officers, which is empirically not true. Not even 1% of Dalit households will have somebody who is working in a proper good reservation position, which they have got because of quotas, which is empirically not the case. There's a very small fraction of Dalits have been able to reach there. Rest of them are still very kind of, trying to struggle very hard. Our education system is so bad that, the schools where poor people go in villages or in government school in urban areas, quality of education is so bad. So they don't really go very far. On the contrary, I mean, instead of building that cohesion, we are going in the opposite direction, which kind of increases this gulf between communities. And then obviously there's more suspicion. Even when there are real issues, people would look at it as a conspiracy, that they are doing it because this is a conspiracy of a particular caste or community, even when there are real issues. So we should be able to have a dialogue with each other. And that is not something in direction in which we are going at today.
Indeed. Mr. Falbaria, before the act was diluted or before the safeguards were brought in, how did it help the Dalits?
डेफिनेटली ये एक ऐसा इशू था जिस पर दलित, अभी हम दिल्ली में रह रहे हैं या शहरों में रह रहे हैं, उस सिचुएशन में उस एट्रोसिटी एक्ट्स के शायद हम साथ में चाय पी रहे हैं, खा रहे हैं, बैठ रहे हैं, पढ़ रहे हैं. दिल्ली जैसे शहरों में इस प्रकार का अनटचेबिलिटी नहीं है. अगर हम ब्रॉडर पर्सपेक्टिव में अगर हम बात करें और गांव की बात करें, देश भारत गांव का देश, और वहाँ पर ऐसे बहुत सारे केसेस है कि शायद आप उस रास्ते से निकल नहीं सकते हैं जहाँ पर उस गांव की जो डोमिनेटिंग कम्युनिटी रहती है उससे निकल नहीं सकते, अपनी बारात नहीं निकाल सकते, वहाँ से पानी नहीं भर सकते. देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ इंसिडेंट्स, हर रोज अखबार में आप देख सकते हैं. तो उस समय ये जो हमारे पास ये एक्ट था, ये ऐसा था जहाँ पर अवेयरनेस बढ़ रही थी. उस एक्ट के बाहर आप ये मान के चलते कि कहीं ना कहीं प्रोटेक्शन हो रहा था. लेकिन 2015 के बाद जब इसका दायरा स्पेंड हुआ तो इस पर केसेस भी बढ़ना शुरू हुआ. जो लास्ट टाइम अगर हम लास्ट 60 ईयर्स की बात करें कि नो डाउट एट्रोसिटी एक्ट का ग्राफ बढ़ा है, लेकिन ग्राफ बढ़ने का मतलब वो रजिस्टर्ड हुए हैं. रजिस्टर्ड होने के कारण हमको लगता है ग्राफ बढ़ा है, यानी कि ग्राफ इससे पहले भी अधिक था, लेकिन रजिस्टर्ड ना होने के कारण वो हमको पिक्चर्स में नहीं आता था. लेकिन अब ये सिचुएशन है कि लोग इस एक्ट के माध्यम से कोर्ट में, एसएसटी कमीशंस में, स्टेट कमीशंस में जाने लगे. इसके कारण एट्रोसिटी एक्ट का जो उनको बेनिफिट मिलना चाहिए था, जो उनको सुधार होना चाहिए था, जो उसमें कंपनसेशन मिलना चाहिए था, उस दिशा में बहुत दिशा में बढ़े हैं, मेरा ये मानना है.
Mr. Udit Raj, now that the Supreme Court has decided not to hear an urgent plea as far as your review petition or the government's review petition is concerned, what are your options? What next as far as the government is concerned?
Now, situation has become very complex, and let me tell you, Supreme Court or higher judiciary have abrogated the power of the Parliament. It's the job of the Parliament to make the laws. These days, I see the higher judiciary, particularly Supreme Court, they are making more laws what we parliamentarians are making, and this is not the provision in the original constitution, but by their own judgment they have usurped this power, and this act is a special act, and Supreme Court cannot dilute this act, and it was passed by the Parliament. So then again the Parliament should pass it, but you see in the case of NAJC, National Judicial Commission, National Appointment Judicial Commission, what happened that both the houses passed, but Supreme Court is struck down. And what business Supreme Court has got to alter the Constitution? They are altering the Constitution. This is a special act which judiciary is doing, and judiciary is exercising extra constitutional authority. And second, reservation in education and government job is a lifeline for SCs and STs. For many years there has been privatization, outsourcing, contract system, and the recruitment is dismal. Where to go? Then that's why youth have come on the street, that there are fewer jobs in private sector. There is a discrimination. Even if they are competent, they will not get the job. So reservation was the only one which uplifted us, elevated us. We came to this level, but that is now either by judiciary or by downsizing the government department, or disinvestment, or privatization, or not recruitment. Some posts are lying vacant in the government, different government.
Mr. Raj,
but
I'm
they
going
are
to go
not
back to a
being
point that you were
fulfilled.
just making in the beginning of your answer. You said that this is a typical case or a classic case of judicial overreach as far as the SC/ST Act is concerned. Are you then suggesting that there could be further conflict between the judiciary and the executive in the days to come?
I don't think that there should be conflict. The judiciary is to interpret the laws made by people's representative. This is the position in the Constitution. Who has authorized judiciary to make a law? Now Supreme Court judgment is becoming the law of the land, and that's another position in the Constitution. It's a very unfortunate, because I tell you, because of corruption in politics, or politicians are fighting among themselves, or politicians are passing buck to other institutions like Supreme Court, executive to take decision because they don't want to become unpopular. These are the reasons that Supreme Court has abrogated the power of the Parliament.
Okay, time now for one final closing comment from Professor Jotka. Close the show for us with what's the way forward, Professor?
No, of course, I mean, the way forward is to think of building a good democracy where there is a kind of feeling of solidarity among citizens. That is the big kind of project. And these are measures through which this is institutionalized, that you don't cross boundaries. For example, violence is crime. So whenever you have certain specific sections of society who are more vulnerable than others, so you give special protection to them. So we need to figure out, and this is something which has to be done collectively by everyone through kind of academic research, through debates and dialogue, that have those insecurities decline, have those vulnerabilities decline. If they have declined, and if there is a kind of misuse of the law, then let there be a debate in society. You can't have just one office deciding on it. And as Dr. Udit Raj very rightly said, these things have to be debated in the Parliament, on the floor of the Parliament. They are the representative of people. That's how you build democracies. Democracies means lawmakers are the representatives of people, right? I think that is the spirit in which we need to go. And judiciary obviously has its own role to play. Judiciary has very critical role to protect those laws which have been, in a sense, elected by representatives of people.
And as far as the Dalits are concerned, do they continue to fight for their rights? Are they going to get justice anytime in the near future? What do you see happening there?
Of course they would. I mean, that is how we have reached so far. Different sections of the society have stakes in this democratic system, and I think our constitution is a very valuable achievement of those struggles, of freedom struggle, and people realize that, they recognize that this constitution is where our rights are included. So I think those are things people will fight about, and it's very clear from from some spontaneous reaction that we have seen today, they are very, very angry about it, and government will have to respond. System will have to respond. Otherwise, we will not really be able to, and I'm sure we will be able to get over this, and there would be progress eventually.
Okay, all right. On that note, then we'll have to call it a wrap on this edition of The Big Picture. I'd like to thank all my guests for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective. For us, what's coming out of this debate is, of course, the protests are extremely spontaneous. People are going to continue to be agitated in the days to come because of one reason or the other. It's up to the establishment and the system to step up really and come up with solutions. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of The Big Picture. See you again next time.